Tonight's species is known for its smoking hot long runs. They're also famous for skyrocketing on bait schools, and I think we would all agree that this fish makes the best smoked fish dip. Tonight we're talking about kingfish here on the Florida Insider Fisher Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. You know, it's pretty obvious we're in the dog days of summer, Rick. It's been sweltering out there, and the fishing has been on fire. So let's talk a little bit about them smokers that are hot right now in some regions.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Brie. And the thing that I love so much about the kingfish is, one, how they taste. But they're so aggressive. They're so kid-friendly. They're so angler-friendly. It doesn't matter whether they're this big or they're up to 50 or 60 pounds like we catch in the Tortugas down in Key West.
Right.
The great part about them is everybody loves catching kingfish.
That's true. You just better have your toesies covered. But right. Dave at the workbench has just the stuff we're going to need to catch those toothy critters. So let's say hi before we get to our first region. Dave.
How you doing? We're, about keeping your feet, out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you gaff them right, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to talk about that, too.
There we go. We have Dave for all that. All right, our Captain Hag in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region must have prayed to the king gods this week because he is first in the lineup tonight.
Well,
go ahead, Hag.
We got out of tarpon season.
Here we go.
He gets to go first.
Kingfish can be found throughout my entire region, from inside Tampa Bay in the shipping channel, right off the beach to 100 plus feet of water. Depending on the water temperature and the bait is where the kingfish are going to be. That magic water temperature for us is in between 68 and 75 degrees. That's when our main big push of migratory kingfish are here, and they're here in full force in the spring and in the fall. Artificial reefs and wrecks or hard bottom with bait or all hold fish. As far as live baits go, threadfin herring, scaled sardines, blue runners are some of the favorite live baits for slow trolling. As far as artificials go, big lip plugs and spoons are favorite for fast trolling around those wrecks and reefs. And another effective way to do them and catch them is to anchor up ahead of the hard bottom or in front of a reef or wreck and start chumming with live bait, start chumming with chunks of bait, put a chum bag over the side. Anything with scent will bring the fish in. Our fish range anywhere from 12 to 50 pounds. And as far as rigs go, as far as your rod, medium to medium heavy spinning rod or conventional with 20-pound braid, high gear ratio. They make fast runs away from you, and they also make fast runs to you, so you want to be able to catch up to them when they're running right at you. And a nice smooth drag. Number 4 to number 7 haywire will help you get cut off. They do have a lot of sharp teeth, and you want to start off your strike on your drag pretty low and then bump them up as your fish starts running away from you, and add a little more drag to them. That also helps. And sometimes using a stinger rig is effective, and sometimes it won't get you a bite. So play with a stinger rig depending on the size bait you're using, and that will also help you catch a couple more fish. Staying offshore, Captain Rob Davenport with Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete reports a good scamp bite right now. Most of the scamp he's been catching have been 140 to 180 feet of water. He's finding them on both hard and ledges out there. And 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader, an 8-ounce lead, and 6-aught circle hook has been the thing he's been using most. And as far as bait goes, a threadfin herring tipped with a little bit of squid has been his main suggestion. Add both of them together to get those scamp to bite. And I've got a nice photo here of a beautiful scamp caught with Captain Rob.
Nice. All right, bud, what else you got for us?
Great eating fish, by the way, too. Captain Jimmy Huddleston reports out of Onozona Fish Camp. Big snook bite right now on the beach. Has been really good on the calmer days with that east wind during the incoming tides. Snook have been staging up in that deeper swash channel that runs parallel to the beach. Down trees, rocks, anything will provide an eddy there and hold those game fish. And a nose hook sardine right behind those or right in front of those is the best offering he has for catching those fish right off the beach and allowing them to drift naturally with no weight right into those structures. Moving down the coast and into Tampa Bay, Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing reports a very good snook bite in the morning with a higher water temps right now and the heat he's facing. He's targeting snook first thing in the morning on the mangrove edges with a little depth to them with good moving water, preferably on the incoming tide. Captain Jim is also using a smaller pilchard right now. He said with a higher water temperature, and he's not finding them chasing those bigger baits down. So nice small baits. He's using anywhere from 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon leader and a 1/0 circle hook right now because the water is gin clear. I got a photo here from Captain Jimmy of a nice Ozona snook.
Man, that is
Pretty.
a nice fish. Good job, Hag. What else you got for us this week?
Going all the way up to the other end of the region, Captain Lee Thomas out of Port St. Joe reports a good bite right now this week. The trout bite's been good in the deeper grass flats and the edges of the grass flats, right on the drop-offs. Live pinfish on a Caroline rig. He's using 24 inches of fluorocarbon leader with a 2/0 Kale hook. And I've got a photo here of one of those nice trout from Captain Lee.
Nice. All right, Hag, thank you for starting us off this week. We look forward to talking to you again next week, but it is time for those Ella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. He says inshore, redfish on the top of the tide and on the beginning of the outgoing using live and cut bait, and then offshore, red grouper bite in 90 to 220 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges. Live pinfish and a pigfish for bait's gonna work for those dudes.
All right, next we're trolling into the front runner boats Northeast region where the king bite will just leave you flabbergasted. Am I right, Tommy?
That's about right, Brie. You know, the timing couldn't be any better to talk about kingfish because you know what? The kingfish bite has been very strong, to say the least, here in the front runner boats Northeast region. Your kingfish, it's a summertime staple for us here. When things get smoking hot outside, like it's been lately, you can sometimes get a little bit of a reprieve from the heat by trolling for kingfish because you're moving a little bit along the beach and offshore. And you know, over the last few weeks, the kingfish have been thick along the beaches throughout the region. This time of year, as we head into August, we typically get a good push of those big kingfish on the beach. As we get close to the full and new moons, especially, those big fish will come in shallow to spawn. Now, the nearshore and offshore reefs and wrecks have also been holding good numbers of kingfish. And, you know, like Rick was talking about at the top of the show, the kingfish, they're a great fish for the experienced or the not-so-experienced angler. You know, it's easy to get set up and get out there, and you're probably going to catch a few. The process would be pretty simple. You're just going to cast net some pogies, and there's a ton of them right now all up and down the beaches. Rig those live pogies on a wire rig, you know, a stinger, if you want, and then slow troll those baits either up top or down on a downrigger. Now, if you're fishing the beach, you're probably typically going to want to be in about 30 to 50 feet of water. Try to keep your speed as slow as you can go. A lot of guys are actually using their trolling motors these days. The beach kings tend to be on the bigger side, and over the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of kings in that 30-pound range being caught, and even a handful of 40s, even some 50-pound fish. This is when we get the big ones. The kingfish are also consistently on those nearshore reefs all throughout the summer, and they offer steady action with the kingfish probably in about that 10 to 20-pound range, a little bit smaller out there. Now, you can apply the same techniques on those reefs as you would on the beach. And I've got a picture here from my good buddy, Captain A.J. Groove. He sent me this picture of 10-year-old Colin with a big old beach kingfish they caught while slow trolling a pogie.
Nice.
And like, man, the kids can get out there and have a great time with those fish. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Now, staying offshore, guys, the cobia have been all over the nearshore wrecks and reefs the past couple of weeks. The guys that are trolling for those kingfish, they're getting a nice surprise when that cobia eats their kingfish rig. Now, there's also been some big sharks hanging around, some big bull sharks. They've got some cobia following them. If you're going to be offshore this weekend, have a couple pitch rods ready. Maybe rig it up with an R&R jig just in case one of those cobias or one of those big sharks with the cobia on their back swim up to the boat. Now, moving inshore, the redfish. We've got a great topwater redfish tide this weekend. The high outgoing tide, it's going to be my favorite for this time of year when it's blazing hot out to throw that topwater because the water's going to be a little cooler up on the flats with that higher water, and those redfish are going to be willing to really chase a plug. Look for concentrations of bait along the grass line. Go ahead and toss your topwater around those baits. The Berkeley Jaywalker has been producing all summer for me. You know, sometimes we'll throw that smaller J100 when it's really calm, and if there's a little chop, we'll switch it to that 120, the little bit bigger one. Now, if you're brave enough to be out there midday, first of all, stay hydrated, and then go check out some of the deeper creek holes with a live shrimp, a minnow, or a mullet. The redfish are going to be moving slow, so do the same with your baits. You're going to get more bites doing it that way. And I've got another photo here. This is just one of quite a few slot redfish that Brenda caught with me in the south end of St. Augustine fishing up on the flats. Now, also inshore, guys, it was kingfish season. It's also tarpon season. Tarpon bite has slowed down just a little bit from last week. Not quite as many fish around, it doesn't seem like, but they're still chewing. The pogies are easy to find last week. They're a little bit more spread out, but they're still around. You just have to look a little bit harder. When you do find the bait, you'll most likely find the tarpon as well. There's some bigger fish moving inshore along the bridges and into some of the bigger creeks and the canals. And speaking of canals, those smaller 10 to 30 pound tarpon have been pretty thick in the residential canals from Palm Coast all the way down through Daytona. And those canal tarpon, they can be a little bit tricky. I'd say your best bet at hooking one right now is going to be to be at your spot when the sun is coming up, free line or maybe float the biggest live shrimp that you can find. Now you can also toss a Fish Bites jerk bait in white with a weightless, weedless hook to those rolling fish. And Rick knows about that. When he was up here, we caught a bunch of fish on that Fish Bites jerk bait. And I've got one last pick here. This is a big tarpon that my client Paul landed out of a pokey pod late last week.
You are the best, Tommy. Good job with the pictures, and I'm really impressed with the variety of guiding that you're doing these days. Keep up the good work. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says inshore, guys, tarpon along the beaches and the pokey pods throughout the region. Smaller tarpon are in the canals from Palm Coast south to Daytona. The best bite's going to be early in the morning and at dusk. And then offshore, kingfish on the beach, 30 to 55 feet of water, as well as on the nearshore reefs throughout the entire region, Brie.
Well, Rick, it is perfect timing for the upcoming North Florida King of the Beach tournament August 5th, sponsored by Frontrunner Boats. With over $350,000 in cash and prizes, the first place largest king wins a 26-foot Frontrunner boat.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I said it. For more information and to get registered, go to nfkingofthebeach.com, and you better do it quick. But right now we're headed to the other side of the state, to the StarTron Central West region. But first, Dave is showing us how we can score a checkmate for Academy Sports and Outdoors rigs and techniques at the CCA Workbench.
What I got to do is figure out how to get in that kingfish tournament on August 5th.
You
Yes,
should.
you do.
And then we'll show you how to catch them.
All right.
But we'll show you before then.
All right.
Perfect.
I was lying.
We got a leg up. We'll be back.
Team player, Dave.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Shallow Sport. Legendary performance. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, as you can see, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques. Dave, we're talking about kingfish here at the bench.
Yes.
So what do you think we should start?
Well, the kingfish, he's kind of like the poor man's wahoo. He's closer to shore, very accessible. They school up most of the times when we're out there fishing for them. They're either, in 90 to 100 feet of water or right up close to the beach, which in the summertime, right now, the great big ones are coming right up on those pogey pods that are coming up and down the beach.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to target those giant ones. If you were fishing in that tournament August 5th, the guy who knows where all those pogey pods are and they're getting mashed by the giant ones, he'll make that run to wherever he thinks that is. Right. But that's probably the best way to catch them. You're going to have to use wire because their teeth are incredibly sharp. I rigged up, this is an inline 3-hook rig for, let's say, a ribbon fish, a long bait, or like a 4-pound tuna, something like that. You got to use wire. The professional kingfish guys will go down to number 4 wire to get a bite. Right. And they catch big kingfish on number 4 wire. So you can use number 4. I think that's number 9. I use heavier wire most of the time. If I'm fishing in a place where I know there's kingfish, I'm usually bottom fishing as well. Right. So what I'll do is I'll drop a sabiki rig down and try to catch a live bait where I want to fish for the kingfish,
Right.
and I'll put it on one of those
A freshie.
a fresh one wherever I'm at. If I have to snag a pogie, then I'll do that. But if I'm fishing on a reef or something, let's say 27 out of Cape Canaveral, which is where the kingfish usually are, you can put down there, grab a live bait, and while I'm bottom fishing, I'll just drift that live bait out, about halfway down in the water column, and something's going to find him, and it's usually a big kingfish or a big wahoo.
Right.
The wahoos will be in 90 feet of water as well, and the big wahoos will sometimes hang around with kingfish.
Gotcha.
So, but this would be my normal trolling rig for kings. It's just number 9 wire or number 7 wire with a number 7 or number 8 O'Shaughnessy hook. Eagle Claw O'Shaughnessy hook, and with a island lure on it.
Right.
That's the a sail lure, but I can use a tracker, and I also like to run at least 2 of them. I usually have naked. A kingfish, like you said before, will sky on a bait that's skipping across the surface, and a lot of times we'll get bites out off the naked. And
Anything naked.
Anything
works.
naked works, exactly. And I love a sea witch on a downrigger.
Right.
You use downrigger because a lot of times the kingfish will settle deeper in the water column.
Right.
And we'll slow down, going about 4 knots, and we'll put out a downrigger, a planer, and try to catch them down there. And we usually get a lot of bites doing that. Put a double hook ballyhoo back there, or a ballyhoo with a stinger rig. I got a stinger there. It's just a big treble, that you can lay alongside. Put that on your hook when it's coming out of the ballyhoo,
right.
so that lays down alongside of his tail. Or you can stick it in his tail. I like to just let it lay back there,
right.
Because when we're moving fast enough to keep it drawn back. And when he comes and eats that tail off, which is what mackerel do,
They cut the propeller off.
Exactly. They come smoking
back
in, take their tail off, and then we'll spin around and come back and get them. But usually I'll have that stinger back there, and they don't get the chance to come back around to get them.
You hear Jimbo talk
Yes.
about the drone spoon all the time.
Everything still eats the drone spoon. Not anybody hardly pulls it anymore, which is crazy because the kingfish love that drone spoon. The commercial guys will pull a spoon and just rip them to shreds. I don't know why a lot of people have gotten away from the spoon because it has never stopped catching fish.
Well, you see those commercial kingfish guys, and they'll have the spoon out.
Yeah, and they'll use stuff like this, too.
And what they do is, guys, you'll see them with their hand on the yo-yo, and they're jerking it like this, which makes it speed up and it bounces up and down. The same thing happens with this. Really cool way to add a little more excitement to your lure.
Yeah. I also like to use trolling plugs like that mirror lure down there.
Yeah.
Anything with a lip on it that'll get it. I think that one goes down 25 feet. It'll get down there. And, kingfish like any little fish. And if it's down there vibrating like crazy, they're going to climb on it. They're going to climb on it and eat it. And you can also, if you're marking a big school of kingfish, you can stop on top of them and throw that live bait rig out and work the area with a nice jig, because these things work really good as well.
And I'm going to tell you, Dave, you know this, but guys, in South Florida, when we're kite fishing, a bycatch all the time.
Yes.
Is a kingfish, it's usually a really big one.
Yep.
Skyrocketing on one of your sailfish baits.
Yes,
because it's right up there on the surface. And Brie and I won the Dolphin tournament, the Miami Dolphins tournament. We ran from Miami all the way to Stewart, and how we caught them was big kingfish. We caught them kite fishing, right, Brie?
Absolutely, we did. And I caught kingfish while we were tuna fishing on the Thomas Flyer with Jimbo.
Yeah,
that's right.
And that can be a tricky thing because a lot of times we're using mono. What happens is if you're using a circle hook, which is another good reason to use a circle hook, sometimes that thing will catch him right in the corner of the mouth. And he doesn't get near that monofilament, and we still catch him. It's a great thing if we can do it.
Pretty work
It's a
over
great
here.
thing, lots of variety. All right, well, we're seeing how royalty lives in the Startron Central West region with Captain Jeff Page. So, Page, tell us what to look out for if we want some kings for the smoker in our near future.
That kingfish is a popular species in our region, but this time of year, he's more of a bycatch. You can catch him, but our prime time is spring, and it can be early as late February, beginning of March, right on into tarpon fishing, which is usually by May. So there's 2 solid months in the spring, and then same thing in the fall, usually by October, November, right into November, December. And the key that everybody, I'm sure, has already mentioned is the big schools of bait. Those kings are going to follow those schools of bait, the migratory fish, And you find that, you're going to find the kingfish, and then you control spoons, you control lip plugs, you can get in the areas where they're going to be feeding on the bait, and you can chum your own bait, or you can drag live bait through there. There's a variety of ways of catching them, and in our region, it all just depends on how many other boats are in that area. That dictates on what you can and can't do successfully. I don't see a lot of guys kite fishing around here, but I've heard that the same thing, Rick, that while they've been kite fishing for sales, they've hooked really good ones.
Nice.
Now, in the fall, it's the same thing, except the water's cooling off instead of warming up, and the fish are probably a little more active and going to eat a little better, but it seems like the spring bite is always a little stronger. I've got a photo tonight from back this past spring. That's Brett Wallen from Walt's Fish Market in Sarasota. One day when he was out fishing with Captain Brian Marcy of Breakwater Charters with a nice kingfish.
Nice.
Staying offshore, the red snapper. Well, the red snapper season's been a really good success, and a lot of it has been due to the good weather. Guys getting out 110 feet of water are having no problem limiting out in the entire region. Live pinfish, probably the best bet, but they're getting them on cut bait as well. Standard bottom rigs will apply, and you're going to get your fish. And the cool thing is you can pick up a big gag or a big red grouper while you're doing it. I've got a photo tonight of a big group trip that Captain Tim No had, where they had a bonus wahoo and some other species. That was like a big overnight red snapper trip.
All right, let's go inshore, Paige.
Inshore, you know I like that trout fishing in the summertime, Rick. It's staying over those deep grass patches, and you've been on some of them with me, off of Long Bar, off Emerson Point, off Rattlesnake Key. Find that deeper grass, 4 to 6 feet, broken bottom, and you can drift. You can put your spot lock on. There's a lot of different varieties of styles for the fishing. You can throw topwaters. I like taking that gulp shrimp on a light jig head and putting it about 3 feet under a popping cork and pop that cork until it goes under. And there's a lot of other species out there right now because of all the schools of bait. That's been the number one thing, is finding the flat, holding the bait, and that you've got clean area of water, and not just clarity, but the floating grass as well. Got a trout photo tonight of longtime friend Bud DeRozier with his 2 grandsons with a nice speckled trout.
That is a nice one. All right, what else you
My
got?
last species tonight, the snook, probably the most sought after summertime, especially the bigger ones in that 40-inch class. Guys fishing the nighttime have been having success on those with live ladyfish and silver mullet from the Gasparilla Pass right on up to Venice Jetties, and then also New Pass and Longboat Pass. Seems like the outgoing tide has been a little better than the incoming tide. And my last photo tonight is of the winners of the Big Art Memorial Snook Tournament. And the name of the team is Rats on the Cheese.
Rats on the cheese.
I love it.
Winning 4 fish, combined 4 snook, but photographed, was 163 inches.
Wow.
Whoa.
So they had over a 40-inch average.
Yeah, and second place
Math.
was 162 inches. So It was tight.
I don't want to fish against those guys, Paige, but I do have a question for you.
Go.
You talked about your trout, and one of the things you talked about was a gulp shrimp under a cork, but you're famous for throwing top waters for trout. Which top water do you like, bud? And how do you like to work it?
Mainly because I can throw it further, that 120 Jaywalker in the chrome or bone pattern.
And how do you like to work it?
Steady.
Steady?
Not too fast, not too slow, just steady, walking down the railroad track.
All right, and then when the trout comes up underneath it and pops it, a lot of people make a mistake by setting the hook. What do you like to do?
Don't.
Give it a second. Let it go under. Let that fish really get a side-to-side movement where you know you got him hooked.
All right, Bub, thank you for clearing that up for us. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we understand, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck Hotspots Central West region. He says inshore trout drift the deeper grass flats off of Rattlesnake Key and Emerson Point with a gulp shrimp 2 feet under a popping cork. And then offshore, mangrove snappers. The nighttime bite is over the ledges in 70 to 90 feet of water. Live pilchard, a pinfish, and a shrimp are going to be your best baits. Sounds like anything will work.
Sounds like anything will work. Even the name Rats on the Cheese, which I love that name.
The rats are on the cheese.
It's great. Sounds like my kids, because my name's Brie. My kids are always like, ah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys and gals, this is getting serious. The star competition presented by Yamaha has had 9 tagged redfish that have been caught by unregistered anglers. I'm gonna cry. Don't risk that being you. There are still 6 more weeks with all the great prize packages coming up for grabs. We are talking Kingfish tonight, and Star has the Canon Kingfish division where you can win Canon downriggers, Yamaha motor, Tigris kite packages, plus other great prizes. But you can't win if you are not registered. So get more info at ccaflstar.com. Let's do this, people. Let's get a winner.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to come up with a prize, and it's going to be something that we give away, a big prize for all the people that pre-register. Before Star Tournament starts, if early register, you're going to get put into that.
There we go.
Could be a boat.
Could be a boat.
Yeah.
Okay, people, you heard it. All right, the Real Legends Central East and Casa Vieja Southwest regions are giving us the royal treatment for your upcoming weekend. So get your wire ready, and we'll be right back on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Nice.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science, Bahio Sunglasses, blue light blocking, radically clear lenses, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure, Kubota, together we do more, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA, and Yanmar ASV, a leader in compact equipment.
Welcome back. Our Real Legends Central East region captain Jim Ross has plenty to offer us, and King Macs are one of them. Where are they at, Jim? Tell us.
Well, this time of the year, you can find them just about anywhere, Brie. But, most of our guys in the Real Legends region really enjoy catching king mackerel throughout the year. We've got a good bite year-round. So slow trolling with live bait fish is the most effective and the most popular way to get a good kingfish bite going in our region. And the 70 to 90-foot reefs, anywhere from Sebastian all the way up to Ponce Inlet, typically hold good numbers of fish, especially this time of the year. Now, what we do find is around the new and full moons, the larger smoker kings, those big mackerel, 25 to 40-plus pounds, they'll move closer to the beach in the summer months. And sometimes they can be caught in less than 10 feet of water, especially if those bait fish are real tight to the shoreline. So you can check places like inlet tide lines, the Canaveral shipping channel, bait pods, especially those that are in less than 40 feet of water. This time of the year, great places to troll your live bait. You're always liable to get a big kingfish or two. The average mackerel typically runs about 15 pounds throughout our region, but like I said, fish over 40 are not uncommon at this time of the year. I've got a picture here of Captain Mark Gibson from Naughty Diver Charters up in Ponce Inlet. He sent a nice little photo, a nice little family photo here of some king mackerel that they were catching the other day.
Nice.
My second species is it's that time of the year, as Rick says. The snappers it's time for them, and it is that time of the year. Mangrove snappers are schooling up for their spawning aggregations on all of our reefs and wrecks right now. The same places that you're going to find the king mackerel are often very good places to find the mangrove snapper. So the places like the Party Grounds, East 11, Site 12, those areas out of Ponce. In between Ponce and Canaveral, you got Chris Benson. Down as you get closer to Canaveral, 8A, Pelican Flat. The High Bar out of Sebastian, the Pines out of Sebastian, all very, very good places to catch some of these fat, tasty snappers. Now, chumming with chunks of sardine or herring and then sliding a hook in a bait and floating it back with those chunks, that's typically the best way that we get the bigger fish. You can get them to come up in the water column, and that keeps you from getting broken off down in the structure. Most of our snapper right now are running about 3 to 5 pounds, but we've got some big fish around. We've got some 10-pounders. They are possible every single day of the week right now when you're outside of the Central East region inlets. I've got a photo here of Logan Tanner, and check out the size of that mangrove that he put on the dock the other day.
That's a good one there, bub.
That fish actually weighed 10 pounds. It doesn't really look it, but it was giant. I saw that fish in person back at the dock. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Wow.
Well, swinging inshore, Rick, speckled trout, it's the most popular species here in Florida when it comes to saltwater. But the hot weather has pushed most of our speckled trout way deep this past week, both in the river and the Mosquito Lagoon. Now, you will find them first thing in the morning around grassy areas. It's still producing until about mid-morning. And then, pretty much you got to get deeper. That 4 to 7 foot depth is where you're going to find those fish. And saltwater sass and vapor shads, saltwater sass and sea shads, or that new little P&V dart bait. All of those soft plastics are great choices for these fish right now. You can either run them under a float or just run them on a jig head. Watermelon with red flake, Houdini, and Mama's 14K are producing the best strikes. And a lot of guys get out and do some fly fishing for them. And clouds or minnows work really well at this time of the year. Now, our average trout isn't really big right now. It's 12 to 16 inches. There are some fish over 20 inches that are, that are possible. And I've got a photo here. I had Jerome out the other day after we took a
Nice.
group out from the ICAST show there. He got this nice little speckled trout on fly, and that was his first saltwater fish, and he was absolutely ecstatic. But that's about the average size fish you're going to catch. Now, my last species is triple tail, and with the water quality still doing pretty good, despite our afternoon rains, the triple tail have moved into the river systems and in really good numbers. It's kind of unusual or uncommon at this time of the year to have these fish around, but you want to look for them around anything that's floating on the top. Palm branches, any kind of boards, sticks, grass lines, crab trap floats, all great places. Any kind of floating debris can potentially hold them. Also, channel markers and deeper docks can hold them as well. Just free line a live shrimp to these fish. They're fantastic. Most of them are not legal, but there are quite a few that are over the legal limit. In fact, I saw one the other day that was almost 12 pounds. So we've got another picture here. This fish was about 19 inches, and that's just barely over legal size in our area. And so you can actually catch some legal triple tail in the lagoons right now.
Thank you so much, Jim. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots from the Central East region. Jim says that inshore snook at Sebastian Inlet. Use R&R Flare Hawks or Assassin Artemis Shads near the cleaning table or inside the North Jetty on the nighttime outgoing tide. And then offshore mangrove snappas on the wrecks and high relief structures in 70 to 90 foot depths. Use chunks of menhaden, pilchards, or sardines for fish up to 10 pounds, just like that young man.
Oh, yeah, and I heard Jimmy was trying to say snapper like you say snapper, but he just nobody
can snapper like me.
No, they can't.
I'm
You're
the
the snapper
snapper
king.
king.
Yeah. Captain Ronnie Houston is now on the line in the Casa Vieja Southwest region, and he's got some great king catching tips up his sleeve. You're going to want to remember. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, like always, guys, it's a pleasure being here. Kingfish, they can be targeted all year round on the offshore side, but late fall through spring can be the better months. As we end winter into spring can be really the prime time, typically late February through May. Now, there's many different methods to target these fish. When the kingfish migrate throughout, or simply by fishing wrecks and the artificial reefs. And it can start as close as the beach line out and beyond. Now, they can also be caught traveling with giant Spanish mackerel schools, especially those big loner fish. So you get into those Spanish mackerel, drop a live bait down below, a big plug or a big spoon, and throw it through those areas. Sometimes you'll catch a bigger fish. But large live baits, wire leaders along with stinger hooks are recommended. You can also troll for them using large lip plugs, maybe your black and purples, your blue and black. But in most cases, you can simply troll large silver spoons. They produce as well. And I have a nice picture of a 50-something pound wahoo that was caught while these guys were out targeting kingfish.
Nice. All right, Bub.
Still on the offshore side, the red snapper bite, that's going on to the end of August because it's been extended. I'm getting mixed reports from north to south. The bite is quick, and some reports saying guys are having to work hard for limits. But the key depths have been 150 feet and beyond, out to 240 feet. But nevertheless, guys are telling me mixing it up with a variety of baits, watching your bottom finder for bait combined with fish raised off the bottom seems to be the way to be catching them right now. Also have a variety of weights up to 11 ounces due to some strong currents, 6.0 to 8.0 circle hooks, and make sure you're having live bait and cut bait together, whether it be live pinfish, sardines, cigar minnows, cut squid, herring, sardines and bonita, to mix it up to really see what the fish are targeting on. And I have a nice picture of a couple red snappers that we just recently caught over the weekend.
Nice. All right, let's go inshore, Bub.
The inshore side, the snook. The bite has been consistent throughout the region. At your higher tides, fish are schooled up along the beaches, all down the coast. But they're on rock piles, blowdowns, and any type of structure along the shoreline, as well as fish grouped up in open water. Those fish are going to be tough to catch due to the cleaner water. but most passes, jetties, and bridge spans, especially with good moving water, are also producing fish. Now to the south, your outer Gulf Islands with good moderate weather and clean water has been the key. And your baits on both occasions are going to be live herring, pilchards, tinfish, gold and silver spoons, artificial shrimp and paddle tails, also a variety of topwater walk the dog lures in chrome, chartreuse bone, and red and white. That's going to find you them schools of snook. And I have a nice picture of a fish that was just recently caught down to the south. Nice oversized snook in one of the mouths of the river.
Wow.
Last species is going to be the redfish. Now, reports to the north, the west wall, the east wall, to include Gasparilla Sound, mangrove shorelines with roaming mullet, also with areas of deadwood. Try to find some of those little coves or pinch points or indentions in the shorelines at higher water. Getting live and cut baits as far as you can to the back with that higher water. Pinfish, pilchards, cut crab, ladyfish, and mullet have been the good bait. But the lower water, you want to look for these fish to be out in front of those areas in troughs, potholes, and also roaming with fry baits or roaming mullet schools. Old spoons, topwater walk the dog lures, and center soft plastic shrimp and paddle tails have been working. Nice picture of some fish being caught up to the north. I've been sitting in some FWC meetings here for the last couple hours. Guys, if you don't show up and give your input to some of these meetings, these guys are going to make decisions on what they base things upon. Get out to some of these meetings when they're announced. They're talking about closures and boundaries, so keep an eye on that. Just go to myfwc.com. Keep an eye on when these meetings are. And guys, we need you to support to show up.
Absolutely. You can't bitch if you don't show up, right, Brie?
That's correct.
All right, Ronnie, great report. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Serenity Bait Company hotspots. And remember, guys, you can go to serenitybaitcompany.com. They can answer all your questions about what they got in the tanks. Inshore trout from Cape Hayes Point to Gasparilla Sound in 3 to 6 feet of water in the areas of fry bait and diving birds using soft plastics and noise-making corks. And then if you want to go offshore, the mangrove snappas from Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, fishing wrecks and ledges out 55 to 75 feet of water, chumming and dropping back a variety of cut bait.
Well, Rick, we talk about it every week, and we're going to continue talking about it because it's pretty important. The topic of shark depredation has been a major focus in fisheries management circles for a number of years, and CCA has partnered with organizations to endorse legislation that calls for the establishment of a task force on shark depredation that would be responsible for improving coordination and communication across the fisheries management community, as well as identifying research priorities and funding opportunities. Head to ccaflorida.org/Shark Act or scan the QR code on your screen to find the Shark Act letter to send to Congress to support this cause.
So here's a good example. You know
Yes.
what? The FWC doesn't want to really talk about sharks right now.
Right.
If we're going to make them to pay attention to what's going on, we've got to make it come from the top, come from the federal level, and then they have to pay attention.
Then they have to.
Have
Can't
to.
ignore us.
That's right.
All right, the Fish Bites East region is next. But first, we have Dave at the CCA workbench for Taco Marine new products. Dave, it's looking shiny and new over there.
We've got some really cool stuff over here today.
Ooh,
really cool
yeah.
stuff.
Looking good. What is that?
Including in here. Oh, and the cameraman.
Don't put that at you. Don't point that at you.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Penn, let the battle begin. Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin. Best lures, period. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, as you know, every week, guys, I like to troll the edge with Taco Marine here at the CCA workbench. And you know what, Dave? We're talking about new products.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of...
We're going to start right there with that mirror you got in your hand, the Sea Sucker mirror mount. You know, it's the best mirror mount in the world, as far as I know. It's holds 120 pounds. You can put it wherever you want. It's great if you have a ski boat or something. You got people behind you, or even if you just want to keep an eye on the cockpit from the front, you know, and keep your eyes front. You can glance into the mirror. If you're out fishing by yourself, or you only got one guy out there, you can put that out and and just keep an eye on the rods and reels, from the helm.
You know why I like it?
Why?
Because I can check my makeup
There
in
you
the commercial break, make sure I'm good.
Well, maybe we should mount it in here for you to have all the time.
Well, the cool thing about the Sea Sucker, it doesn't matter whether it's a mirror or a toilet paper holder, which is my favorite of all the Sea Suckers. You just simply push down on it, pump this pump until you have no more orange mark showing.
120
and then you're
pounds.
Fully stuck.
120
Look,
pounds. That thing ain't coming off.
You're in full Sea Sucker mode.
That's right. It ain't coming off. It ain't coming off. Next, we got the Eagle Claw Larva Jig. It's the laser sharp larva jig, and it's poured on a high-quality American-made hook there. These are perfect for taking kids fishing. Oh my gosh, these things work so good. If you put a little shrimp on there, everything eats it. It's really easy for them to catch it when they're on that little weight like that. You can feel what your bait's doing instead of, if you had just a regular hook and a shrimp out there, it's kind of hard to keep feeling where that shrimp is. But when you got a little weight on there, it adds that tension that keeps you in contact with your bait. They come in 4 high-vis colors and 1/32, 1/16, and 1/8 ounce sizes.
Very, very popular with the yellowtail snapper fishermen, because you could put a
yellowtail, mangroves, any little snappers, pinfish. If you're fishing for bait, any of those things are great for that. So
good job,
comes
Eagle
5
Claw.
to a pack, and the hook size is like a number 1, I think.
I love it.
Next, we've got the Penn fishing apparel, and they're making some headwear too. Pure Fishing is launching that new product line, and you'll be able to buy it at all the participating dealers or at pennfishing.com online, and it comes out in early September. This is the Penn Fleece. It's very soft. It's made from a lofted cotton poly blend. Keeps you nice and warm. It's oversized, so it'll fit over some bulky clothing if you're already out there, and you can put this on over stuff. It's got a really cool pocket in the front. You can keep your hands warm.
This is great for me during sailfish season when it's cold and we're out there in our front runner and it's blowing 300 miles an hour. And guess what, bub?
And it's only $60, and you'll be warm.
I'll be warm.
You'll be warm, which is a nice hood with a drawstring. You can tighten it down on your head.
That's it.
Keep your head warm. I am all about
good job
staying warm. Penn. Next and not least, we've got the Squid Nation. We got the Bullet Blaster, which is the one you've got in your hand right there. And the Slammer Blaster. But the Bullet Master there, it comes on 275-pound mono. It's got 5 Squid Nation rubber bullets on there.
Right.
And a Pakula micro sprocket roach on the end. And that's
is that what this is?
Yeah, that's the Pakula micro sprocket roach. And this is a great bait for, if it's kind of rough out. This thing with these bullet heads, they'll cut right through the waves and stuff. It's also got the Slammer Blaster, and this one, has little chugger heads on it. And this is really great. This has 5 little chugger slammers on 300-pound mono, and it's got a Pakula micro sprocket mozzie on there. And it's on 300-pound mono and a 275-pound swivel right here, so it keeps everything from spinning up on you.
So
everything eats these things: tunas, wahoos.
Are you going to be showing these off on the Texas show in the future?
We already had them on.
We already had it on Texas?
Yeah, I don't think you were here.
That's a beautiful thing, because that means that I can take them with me.
Yes, you can.
Look how carefully I'm going to roll these up and put them away.
Go to squidnation.com to get those.
All right. So we got seasucker.com, Eagle Claw.
Yeah.
Remember everything about Eagle Claw, guys?
Pure Fishing.
Made in the USA.
Yes.
All right. And then we have Pure Fishing for your stuff, and then Squid Nation.
Squidnation.com.
All right, man.
And Penn Fishing to keep you warm over there. Sorry, Dave, I made him take off his undershirts today because you didn't look TV ready.
I wasn't cool enough.
But at least they're both AFCO, so we're good. We're good.
Well,
all
if
right.
you're cold now, you can put
that on. Just throw it on. Keep your head warm. In the Fish Bites East region, if you find the bait schools, you'll find your pair of kings in 2s or 4s, or they'll be hanging on the reefs. And I know Captain Holiday can concur. Right, sir?
It's true, Brie. As a rule, there's 2 areas you'll find kingfish this time of the year. On the bait schools along the beaches and that nearshore structure, and out on the offshore reefs. The fish are following the food, and lately that's been as deep as 200 feet of water and as shallow as 10 feet. It seems like there's a good morning bite and an afternoon bite on the bait schools in places like the Sand Pile, the Kingfish Hole, the 14A buoy, and the Vero Cove. And the reef bite, that just seems to be going all day long. So you're not on a time limit there. The kings aren't schooled up like they are in the spring. It's usually just a handful of fish working a bait school or zipping along the reef line. It seems like the beach bite is better on the west wind days. You can target them with a number 4 wire stinger rig and a live thread fin, a sardine, or a blue runner. Average kingfish in my region is going to be 12 to 25 pounds. I got a photo. That's Helena Wilkes. She got that big king off of a bait school on the beach, and that fish ate a live thread fin on a R&R wire kingfish rig.
Nice.
The other bite we got going, the mutton snapper bite that's been going strong all summer, is starting to push in from 75 feet, pushing inshore to like 25 to 50 foot reefs, where the fish are taking advantage of the hatching turtles and the nearshore baitfish schools. So places like the reef off Peck's Lake, the sand pile off Stewart, the Draga wreck, the sailboat wreck, the Amazon, all those areas are seeing good concentrations of mutton snapper, with the bite particularly strong after dark. A lot of the fish are just borderline legal to that 18-inch minimum size limit, so make sure you have a measuring device. The larger muttons are still coming off the reefs and wrecks in 75 to 100 feet of water, with sardines, cigar minnows, pilchards, thread fins, and grub plugs are top baits. Average mutton snapper in regions like 8 to 12 pounds. I got a photo of a nice one there that Captain Rich DuBois on the Salty Days charter out of Port St. Lucie. He led his client to that nice mutton on the Loran ledge, and that fish ate a live sardine.
Nice. Let's go ahead and go inshore, bub.
Well, you know, the spotted sea trout bite's been good in the Indian River, but the morning window has been really short. Once that sun gets up, like 7:30, 8 o'clock, the bite pretty much shuts down, except on those overcast mornings. The best action's been along the docks off Walton Road, Savannah Road, and St. Lucie Village, and also on the flats by the moorings up in Vero. Really, you know, anywhere you can find good seagrass right now. Look for the fish around the mullet schools and the threadfin schools. Those are hugging the edges of the flats. And then the drop-offs around the spoil islands also have some fish because the water's a little cooler there. The fish are focused on bait fish, so you can throw anything from a saltwater assassin, drunk monkey, Houdini, or new penny-colored shad, or a sea shad, or a dye dapper. You can also throw a live pilchard or threadfin. There's a lot of first-year 1 to 2 pound trout, as well as some nice 3 to 4 pound trout in the mix. I got a great photo. Jason Arman of That's Our Man Land-Based Fishing Charters, he took his angler out in the Indian River and got that nice trout on a topwater plug. So, you know, fish are pretty active right now, but once that sun gets up, that bite really shuts down. But that'll give you an opportunity to move to the tarpon bite. We're starting to see the resident tarpon really turn on in all the inlets in my region, as well as in places like the Crossroads in Stewart, 25-cent Bridge, Harbor Ridge in the St. Lucie River, the Boy Scout Camp in the Loxahatchee River, Big Mud Creek up in the Indian River. There's also been a good bridge bite at night on South Bridge and Fort Pierce. The fish are focused on crabs on the outgoing tide and mullet on both tides. In the inlets, you can also fish thread fins, drift them behind the boat on a 7/0 circle hook, 60-pound fluorocarbon leader. You can also throw a Houdini-colored 4-inch sea shad right at the rolling fish and pick a few fish up that way. Watch for the red minnows gathering on the beaches. The tarpon will move on to those minnow schools in August. Average tarpon right now, 40 to 90 pounds. I got a great shot of Captain Jimmy Walton with a nice tarpon that he got to eat a dead mullet in the Indian River.
Looks like a beautiful morning, Mike. Certainly we got to talk about bass as we do every week, so give us a report.
Yeah, you know, water temperatures on Lake Okeechobee are in the 90s, and there's not a lot of water movement right now. So the best bass bites are super early in the morning, say from like 6:30 a.m. to about 8 a.m. That's when the school bass are feeding on shad along the outside edges of Kings Bar and along Observation Shoal, and also in some of the boat trails near the mouth of the Kissimmee River. I was talking to Captain Nathan Schoen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He's saying to start your day throwing anything that looks like a shad, Bass Assassin Turbo Shad or a Vapor Shad or an all-white spinnerbait or a blue and chrome lipless crankbait. Any of that stuff will work. And then once that school bass bite shuts down, you can move up super shallow and look for fish moving around and throw a weightless RSB worm or a fat job rig Senko style. And there's also been some nice fish caught flipping the outside reed lines up around Taylor Creek with creature baits. It's 20 fish morning, average bass is only 2 or 3 pounds, fish up to 6 or 7 pounds right now.
So, Mike, I want to talk a little bit about those red minnows if you got a second. You know,
yeah, sure.
a lot of times the fish get so keyed in on those red minnows that it's hard to get them to bite. What's your trick, bub?
It's pretty simple. A saltwater assassin, turbo shad, all white. Any of the white ones, throw it on the outside edge of the school, fish it weedless and just twitch it, let it sit, twitch it, let it sit. And those fish that are coming out of the mass of minnows where they can't really see a bait very well, as soon as they hit that clear water, they see that white bait, they just blast it.
All right. One of my buddies I met in Destin when I was up there fishing, I noticed he was wearing a tarpon hat just like that, and I promised to get him one. So will you please send me one so I can send it to Nikki up there in Destin?
I got you. This is the hottest hat at Bahia right now.
I believe it. I could give away a sleeve of those in about 20 minutes. I appreciate all your hard work each week, bud. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the T&H Marine hotspots from the East region. Inshore, catch and release snook on fly at Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge. In the sight, fish them in the troughs on large bait fish with large bait fish flies. And then offshore, sail fishing 150 to 240 feet of water off the east of St. Lucie Inlet. Live threadfin, sardines, or pilchards trolled on a kite will work real well.
Bahia is just on fire with their hats. They're
Yes.
so good looking.
Yeah,
And
some
Mike
cool
Holliday just
stuff.
makes it look great, too.
Yes, he does.
What a model. All right, well, let's continue to show our support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate for just $25. Proceeds for the redfish tag support protecting and enhancing Florida's saltwater marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. Visit your local DMV or visit redfishtag.com. What do you think about that?
So you know, Brie,
Yes.
all of us here are life members, heritage members, or even legacy members. All the captains, you, Dave, Brie, myself, my family, we lead by example.
Yeah.
But the other thing that came to my attention this week, in Citrus County, CCA released another 4,000 to 5,000 trout this past week, putting them at over 40,000 trout have been released on the Gulf Coast. So good job, CCA, and
awesome.
all that hatchery management stuff we got going on.
It's definitely working. All right, we're taking big old bites out of the Dynapack Southeast and Yanmar ASB Keys regions when we come back, so stay hooked. But before we go, I want you to take a look at that QR code you see on your screen. It's an easy way to sign up for our live audience shark show coming up on August 16th. Make sure you sign up for that. Plus, you can get connected with all of our Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Tin Cup, Mountain Whiskey. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Welcome back. If you love Yamaha, Yamaha is loving on you during Yamaha's Summer Sunset Sales event. Get up to 5 years warranty coverage on a boat package with eligible new 30 to 300 horsepower outboards, or get up to 7 years on a boat package with eligible 425 HP outboards, or purchase an eligible 2.5 to 25 horsepower model and receive up to a $300 dealer credit. Make sure you visit your Yamaha dealer today for more information. But you know what, Rick? It's also Yamaha's Ready to Repower sales event, where you can get up to 7 years warranty coverage on eligible new 150 to 425 HP outboards with purchase of Siren 3 Pro, along with a $1,000 dealer rigging credit, and also receive an additional $1,000 dealing rigging credit with the purchase of Bennett trim tabs, or get 6 years warranty coverage and a $250 dealer rigging credit with eligible 50 to 115 HP models. There's so much going on with Yamaha. I'm out of breath.
Oh.
But that's good. That's good stuff, right?
Yes, it is absolutely good stuff. And guys, just go to your local dealer and they can fill you in on all the details for sure.
All of those details. Plenty of kings have been caught aboard the Thomas Flyer in the Dynapack Southeast region. So let's see how Captain Jimbo Thomas does it. Go for it, Jimbo.
You got it, Brie. Hello, Rick and Dave. And first off, if you're listening to this, you obviously survived lobster mini season. So in the southeast region, kingfish, we catch them throughout the year. One of the best times is around the full moons of March, April, and May. And that's when we catch the most kings and also the largest kings. Now, live baiting and trolling, those are the most popular tactics to target kings. On the live bait side, pilchards, herrings, sardines, and goggle lights are favorites. You want to fish them under the kite, or you can drift those live baits. And if you don't have any live bait, you can try trolling drone spoons. A 3.5 is always a good choice, or a sea witch in a bonita strip. You want to get that bait down deep, either on a wireline outfit or behind a planer, which is the most popular way now to get it deep. And that'll get the bites. And also the trolling does outfish the live baits on a lot of days. Now, standard depths are anywhere from 80 to 160 feet of water. You definitely need a piece of wire leader so you don't get cut offs with those razor sharp teeth, both on the wire lines and on the troll. Now, lately, the few kings that are being caught have been on the spoons or the strip baits behind the planers, and they've also been out a little bit deeper, out in the 130 to 160 foot range. And the average size kings are anywhere from 4 to 20 pounds, with some much larger ones mixed in. Now, I got a photo here. This is Hunter Salyers with a 25-pound king that he caught on live pilchard. He was using a mono leader and a circle hook. So circle hooks, a lot of times will get them without that wire leader. Now, staying offshore, a little further offshore at least, dolphin fishing has definitely seemed to pick up in the last week. It's not that we're really catching any more of them, but the size has gotten a little bit better, with quite a bit more of those catches being legal fish. Now, anything floating's been holding fish, along with scattered weed lines and large patches of sargassum. Been finding them anywhere from 6 to 15 miles offshore, and some of the fish have had birds working over them. You can try trolling rig baits, ballyhoo, bonita strips work, or mahi magnets, R&R mahi magnets in pink or blue. Those have been getting bites. Once the fish are located, you can try pitching cut baits and small live baits. There's also been a lot of live bait under these larger patches of grass. You can drop your sabiki down, catch some of those, trade them back in for those dolphin. Got another photo here. This is junior angler Noel with a dolphin that he caught aboard the Lisa L with Captain Mike Puller. He was in the summer school of fish, or the fishing experience of summer camp.
Look at that smile, bub. Wow, awesome.
He's been teaching a lot of kids how to fish, so that's a great deal there. Now, moving inshore, bone fishing on the flats of Biscayne Bay has been good first thing in the morning before that water starts to heat up on top of the flats. Look for tailing bonefish on the inside and outside flats from Soldier's Key south to Angelfish Creek on the outgoing tide. Then after that water warms up, look for the fish on the deeper edges where the water's a little cooler. Look for those fish over light-colored bottom. Then late in the afternoon, or just after a rainstorm, which we've had plenty, when that water begins to cool, those fish are coming back up on top of the flats. The best baits have been small crabs, live shrimp, and crab pattern flies. Got another photo here. This is Bill Flynn with the Biscayne Bay bonefish that he caught around Soldier's Key.
Wow.
Also, the snook fishing has been good throughout the whole region. The fish are schooled up in most of the inlets, or all of the inlets actually, and they're being caught around the piers and jetties, and also the lift bridges and the dock lights of the ICW. Like pilchards, herring, mullet, and croakers have been the best baits, but any other good live bait should get bites. They're also being caught on jigs and soft plastics. Now, in the inlets, they've been biting the live baits drifted near the bottom on any tide, and when the water's been murky, they've been biting throughout the day, and when that water's clear, it's been early morning and evening bite. Then around the bridges and the piers, the outgoing tide in the evening is when these snook are biting the best.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our new sponsor, Black Oak LED's hotspot from Southeast region. Brie, he says inshore, target snook in the inlets and around the mouths of spillways and canals with both live and artificial baits for catch and release snook. And then offshore, search for the birds and the floating debris in 800 to 1,200 foot depth ranges for those dolphins. So let's talk a little bit about Black Oak LED. They make the coolest night vision cameras, as well as lots of different types of light bars.
Cool.
All different types. Just go check them out on their website, and it'll really enlighten you about what they sell.
Oh no, he did it.
I did it.
Welcome to the crew. We're glad to have you for enlightening us. The Kings are no exception to living the good life in the Yanmar ASB Keys region. So let's find out when is the best time to start up that smoker with Captain Sarah Stanzik. Go for it, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going? Kingfish for the Keys. Our season here is earlier in the spring, not really in the summer right now. But we do catch them year-round. It's just spring would be, I would say, the peak season for them. But there are some random fish around throughout the year. For catching them, we use mostly live bait like cigar minnows, ballyhoos, and pilchards. The kite fishing is a productive and fun way to target them, but you can also slow troll a bait for them behind your boat, trolling, or use jigs. Got to have a light wire leader because they are 2-feet creatures and they'll just bite right through anything else. And like a number 2 or 4 treble hook is a good setup. They put up a good fight, and they can jump out of the water. They're kind of similar to barracudas, I would say. I love catching barracudas, and Brie knows that.
You do.
For eating them, I love barracudas. They're fun. Eating them, people love to smoke them. They're great to throw in the smoker and turn into smoked fish dip, like some of the best meat for that. So here's a big rack full of nice kingfish caught aboard the B&M charter boat.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah, that's what we like to see.
All right. Well, what else you got for us this week offshore?
Offshore, inshore.
Yeah, go ahead and go offshore.
Offshore. Okay, sorry, I was skipping around. Offshore. We've seen some swordfish action this last week with the calmer weather patterns that make it possible. The boats have to go 25 to 40 or 50 miles offshore the Keys here to the swordfish ground, so it really just has to be a nice weather day or weather pattern for those boats to be able to go out that way. So the best water depth, for catching them is anywhere between 15 to 1,800 feet deep. And for bait, we use a whole squid or a mahi bonito belly strip, and you'll drop that bait all the way down to the bottom, 1,800 feet deep, and you'll make long drifts waiting for a bite. So it's challenging. There's a lot of gear, a lot of line out. It's a little tedious, and you have to be patient. So I would say if you go for the first time and you don't succeed, definitely go again. Get pointers from other people, go online. There's lots of tutorials on how to swordfish, but very rewarding when you do catch one. So just don't give up if you don't catch one the first time if you're trying. Here's a nice swordfish that was landed on the Broad-Minded. It weighed in at 120 pounds in the photo, and that little kid is my daughter, Claire, and she was poking it on the dock.
Hey, Sarah, I did make a mistake. You were right. So why don't you go ahead and give us snook, and then we'll go to mutton snappers.
Okay, it's okay. Back inshore. Offshore, inshore, it's all the same.
Right?
Fish everywhere. Inshore, snook, yeah, we got some snook action in the backcountry. You want to target snook around structures, so like mangrove islands, creeks, jetties, like fallen trees, debris, any type of bottom structure that you can find too are good places to find them. We use live pilchards, our preferred bait, but they'll eat live shrimp and artificials too. You'll definitely know it when a snook hits, like they have a hard bite, they're predator fish, they crash on the bait, they're fun to fight, they shake their heads, they jump. They're just a fun action fish, to land, so. Here's Dalton with his first snook, landed with Captain Jeff Otten.
Nice. All right, now give me the mutton snapper, please.
Okay, back offshore. Mutton snapper. We've had a really, really good mutton snapper season here. I've talked about muttons a lot, but it's just been a really nice year for mutton snappers. So they're still around. We've been catching them still. They've been in, the deeper waters off the reefs and the wrecks on structure. You got to have some kind of a wreck or something that they're on. They like to be around structure. Anywhere between 100 and 200 feet deep, average depth. Live pilchards are good. Cut ballyhoos or pinfish on something like a 5/0 circle hook and a 20 to 30 foot long leader with a 1 pound weight, depending on the current. They're fun to catch. You just kind of bump your bait along the bottom, and all of a sudden your rod bends over, and they shake their heads good, and you just pull them up. It's fun. They're really good to eat. They got white flaky meat. Look, here's a picture of me with a mutton that I landed recently.
Nice, Sarah.
So Sarah, I got a question for you. Everybody loves to do the mini season in the Florida Keys. You guys had some bad weather this week in regards to rain and thunder and lightning. How was the season, being that it just ended today?
It just started today, actually. Today was the first day, so it's also tomorrow. Tomorrow's the second day. I left the dock at 8 o'clock this morning. I caught 3 lobsters, and I ran back home as fast as I could because the storm came down upon us, and it was, like, terrifying, like lightning crashing, thunder, 40-mile-an-hour winds, 50 knots. It was not good. So I came back in, hid from it, and then I went back out and caught my limit in less than 2 hours.
Nice.
That's our girl.
So
It's all good.
sounds like a great
Safety first,
success.
though. I don't like lightning on the boat. That's scary.
Great success, and guess what? The restaurant business for breakfast was really good probably while that storm was going through.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All good in the Florida Keys. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats, hotspots from the Florida Keys. She says that inshore, a snook bite is a good thing first thing in the morning before it gets too hot. Live pilchards are best bait, and then target them on structure like down trees, creeks, and mangrove islands, I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying mangrove snappas all in one word. And then offshore, yellowtail snappas. The bite is good on the reefs. Use lots of live chum. Wait a little bit before the bite if it's not good, because guess what? As soon as that tide change, it's going to actually get better, and that's what you need to wait for.
Yeah, my husband actually had a similar story. He went out, caught 2, storms came in, ran back in, had the baby with him, couldn't go back out, but that leaves a lot of lobster for season. So that's exciting.
That's right.
We'll take the good with the bad. All right. A white marlin and a sailfish proved to be the winning combination for the Outer Limits team with Captain Jay Miller at the 41st annual Key West Marlin Tournament, which ended Saturday, July 22nd, off the Florida Keys. The 2 billfish releases earned the team first place and a prize estimated to exceed $100,000.
Nice.
Linda DV with Captain Billy Wickers at the helm ended the tournament in second place, and Sanctuary placed third. Congrats, guys. The organizers said the 2023 Key West Marlin Tournament drew about 175 anglers fishing on 32 boats. It took place in conjunction with the annual Hemingway Days Festival, which is also fun. So congrats, guys. That looked like a great place to be.
Yeah, man.
First place, second place, third place.
That's right. I certainly want to fish that.
I think you should.
I know.
It's fitting. Very fitting.
All right.
All right. Well, another Keys tournament we want to mention is the Bartenders Dolphin Tournament in Layton, which is a one-day, fun-day dolphin tournament on August 14th that is open to bartenders and restaurant employees fishing for donated prizes and, of course, good times. For more information, go to flakeys.com. I feel like that tournament needs to have the sea sucker bar that we've had on the show before. That would be perfect. Speaking of sea sucker, the Sea Sucker Panhandle region is next, coming up on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. So keep those toes covered, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Real Legends. Available at bellsflorida.com. Dynapack. Your partner on the road. And Taco Marine. Troll the edge.
All right, guys, today's power pole tip is what I call the springback. You know, in bass fishing, a lot of times I'm looking for bass on beds, I'm looking for underwater grass beds, structure, and as I'm cruising around and I see something real close to the boat, the worst thing you can do is reverse the trolling motor. I'll use the power poles to spring me back. Check it out. Like right now, there's a nice little patch of grass with a bed on it. Power poles are going down, power poles are down. I'm letting the boat load, letting it load up. Now I spring it back, power poles up. Let the boat get the weight of the boat and bring the power poles up. Now look, I'm back. I haven't touched the trolling motor one time. Now if that's a fish on a bed right there, which I can see the bed, I didn't spook him, okay? Didn't have to hit the trolling motor. Now I can redeploy the power poles. I'm in a perfect position now to catch that fish. So guys, that is your power pole tip of the week.
From the man.
And that is a good tip. All right, we're doing all the king things in the Sea Sucker Panhandle region, but you should definitely take some notes. There's a lot from Captain Pat Deneen. So Pat, go for it.
Hey Brie, I tell you what, kings show up in the Panhandle early spring or caught into the fall. with some of the biggest fish caught in the fall, definitely, and there's been some big fish around lately. Kings are primarily caught in the Gulf, although Pensacola Bay has a good fishery for big kings late summer. Wherever you're going to fish for the king mackerel, you're going to normally find them near structure and bait schools. And they're mainly caught by trolling live baits like herrings and cigar minnows. But blue runners, bluefish, and mullet are all great baits, especially for the bigger king mackerel. You want to use a stinger rig of either single-strand marlin wire or a 7-strand wire with a single or a treble hook in the bait's nose and a treble hook either free swinging or attached mid-body in the bait or even closer to the tail. And you can also troll lip plugs, tremblers, and spoons very effectively for king mackerel. This summer, the kingfish has been kind of spotty. They show up randomly. All of a sudden you'll have some around, and then they're not around. Lately, there's been some around, and there's been some pretty big ones being caught as well. The party boats, bottom fish, and free line of bait, they've been catching some 30, 40-pound king mackerel. Just one here, one there, not a lot of them. And I got a photo from Captain Corey Maxwell of Doubled Up Charters in Pensacola. They slipped out one afternoon this week and found a few kings, right outside Pensacola Pass. So get the bait, slow troll them, and you're likely going to find you some king mackerels. Nice. Staying offshore, red snappers have been a primary focus and will be until this season ends recreationally on Monday. There's still plenty of them around on bottom structure in 60 to 200 plus feet of water, and they're being caught on live cigar minnows, herrings, and pinfish, or cut minnows or squid. On the live baits, you want to use a slip sinker rig with 5 or 6 feet of 40 to 60-pound leader. You want to fish with your rod tip high. Drop your bait down either to the bottom and bring it up some, or halfway down, or 2/3 the way down. But once you stop and start fishing, fish with your rod tip high. And when you get a bite, drop the tip, letting the snapper swallow your bait, and then start cranking and come tight. With the cut bait, use a 2-hook chicken rig, or on shallower spots, free line or drift the chunk bait. And red snappers and black snappers as well respond real good to chunking. And you can often bring them up to the surface and feed them right behind your outboard. Most snappers are running 4 to 5 pounds, but I've seen plenty of pictures lately of 20-plus pounders and some even pushing that 30-pound mark. Moving inshore, speckled trout are being caught throughout the panhandle. The good folks over at Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe tell me they've been getting plenty of trout by free lining small pinfish on the deep edges of grass and in the channels between the flats. The best results are with light leaders and small number 2 hooks. The guides in the backwaters of Choctahatchee Bay, basically down by Hogtown and east, have been fishing peanut menhaden, little 3-4-inch menhaden, either free lined or under a float, and they've been doing very well. But wherever you want to fish those speckled trout, it's been hot, so you want to fish. The best fishing has been early in the morning or at last light in the afternoons, or even better yet, after dark by fishing the dock lights. That's been real consistent. And then finally, staying inshore, the tarpon fishing, the fish are becoming, the tarpon fish are slowing down, but they're still here in fishable numbers. The water along the beach has cleaned up tremendously. I mean, all the way from Pensacola eastward, all the way past Mexico Beach. But the big schools of tarpon are becoming less common, and singles, doubles, and small groups are becoming the norm. Off the piers, they're catching them on swim baits, while anglers on boats are either fly fishing or live baiting them, either by finding a little group of fish and working them, or just anchoring and fishing the fish as they come by. And there's a couple pictures there. The first pic is a Will Steinwinder of Montgomery. That was his first real saltwater fishing trip this week. He caught his limit of red snappers, some sharks, and this is one of 2 tarpon we caught on the way home. So he had a fantastic introduction to saltwater fishing. And then the second picture, Rick, I think you're going to like this one. It's Sam Howard from Ocala. He's fighting a tarpon last week with me. And the cool thing about Sam is he has now fished with every one of us guys in the Florida Insider Fishing Report family. So I was the last one of the circle, and he thoroughly enjoyed everybody he fished with. So that was really cool.
Pat, if you would, I want you to send me his phone number. I know you got it from the charter. If you can send me his phone number, I'd like to get his address so we can send him maybe a pin, rod, and reel combo so he can have it when he's keeps fishing.
Do it.
All right, bud. Thank you so much.
Finally, hey, CCA, I need to mention this, guys. Star Tournament is in motion. If you're not playing the game, you should be. Sign up and get involved. It's a fun tournament, lots of prizes. And I know of one fella, he caught a tagged redfish this year and one last year, so that they're real. He just wasn't eligible.
They're real.
All right, thank you so much, bud. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Blue Water Outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. He says inshore, big jack crevalles and redfish around Garcon Point Bridge, and then look for them on the top or troll diving plugs along the bridges and around the bait schools. And then offshore, recreational season for red snappers coming to an end, so catch them on live bait on natural and artificial bottom in 60+ feet of water.
All right, we'll stay hooked for what we're fishing for next week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report when we come back. All right, next week we are talking, Rick, redfish.
Nice.
Ooh, that's
better
awesome.
make sure you see this one.
Make sure you tune in. This is Rick's favorite fish, if nobody knew. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Go out this weekend, get those kings. We'll see you next week for redfish.
Bye. Got the diver down.